I was just at a lunch and someone said that they're finding an increase in complacency. Like, people aren't pushing back as much or providing challenging questions or presenting alternative strategies as much in meetings because people are afraid that they're going to lose their job. And, as a leader, it's a really hard thing to hear because the friction of challenging proposals, collaborating and whiteboarding, and that's where sort of some of the conflict comes up. Those are really, really important because if you don't get through the muck, during planning and execution, your customers are going to see it. They feel it in the product and the service that gets delivered. And so you want healthy debate. And if people are afraid to speak up, then we've got problems. So here are some tricks that you can test out in your world for how to get people to actually say what they want to say during meetings instead of just polite complacency. The first tactic to deploy is modeling. So admitting that there are areas of uncertainty and asking for feedback, or asking questions like, this is the proposed plan. Let's think about ways it could not work, or where could it break. We want to make sure that we test those areas appropriately so we can plan for it. We don't want our customers to experience these things. We want to fix them before it goes GA. And that really rolls into tactic number 2, which is asking specific questions. You want to know, instead of, everyone good with this plan? That's going to support sort of like consensus driving and, kind of wrapping up the meeting really quick. But it's not going to achieve the goal of getting people to say what they actually mean, right? And so instead of that, you can say something like, can we take a moment to review the plan? And I'd really like each person to just call out one thing, identify one area in which they think that there's a potential gap in experience here. Or a broader question, is there anything that we haven't considered yet that we need to in this conversation? And if you have an example, start with an example because you're modeling. And the last thing, which is really important, is rewarding people who disagree publicly and openly. And you can say things like, hey, I'm really glad you brought that up. That's an important concern. Or, yeah, I was kind of thinking that too, and I'm glad you brought that up. Or something like, it's really interesting that you saw that because I didn't. And those types of comments really make people feel like they have a bit more psychological safety, which is so important right now, especially right now, to speak up, because ultimately we all have the same shared goal of delivering great products and services for our customers, growing our customer base, and deploying return for our stakeholders. These are all shared goals, right? And how we get there is really the devil in the details. And that's really what needs to get worked out in all of these meetings and conversations. And so you want to create an environment where people are willing to be provocative, to ask the questions, to work through all of those details, either in the conversation, in the meeting, or outside of the meeting, but somewhere. They have to be able to do it somewhere. Have you tried some of these strategies in meetings recently? Have you seen sort of this complacency in the workplace? How do you tackle that?